one surprising thing that happened in this interview was the interviewer had my resume open, and he went into like in depth into my resume. He even I had GitHub links of my projects that I had taken, and he even opened the GitHub link. He went through the code. He asked me questions on why this, why that, how did you do this, and all in detail. And because I think a lot of students, what they do is they like put projects in their resume and they forget like they even did it, and they like saw some tutorial, some clone app and something like that, and they just copy pasted the code. So I mean, in a face-to-face interview, you'll get caught one way or another, right? The interviewer is smart enough to see your bluff if you're doing it. And so I would say put less projects, but put quality projects that you know like in and out.
Many people might have question like, how do you get an internship at such top tech companies? So number one question is like, how do you approach getting an internship? And second question, what is the level of expectation that these companies have in these internship interviews?
Okay, so I think for me, I think a lot of students have similar story where a company visits their campus, right? That's the scenario one. And other scenario is you approach the company by career portal or something like that. And I think the process, the core interview process remains the same. The only edge that an on-campus student gets is that they are already, their resume is filtered and they will get a chance, right? The initial chance is the only difference. Other than that, the process remains same. So for us, I think the process was we got a first round where it was an online test, and it had 3 questions, standard lead code questions, and we had to solve those 3 questions in I think 60 minutes. And the one of the big hurdle that student faced in this online round was the person who was familiar with CPP, they were not able to include the STL libraries, right? The standard libraries that people use, like vector and array and all that, that were not allowed, which was surprising to a lot of students, and they struggled because of that. But fortunately for me, I also knew Python. So I saw that issue and I switched to Python, and Python, you already know, like everything is standard in it. You don't have to include anything. So there I was lucky in a way, but that was one of the potential issues. But I would not suggest, because of this specific issue, you should like completely change your language. It was one of case. And yeah, luckily I was able to solve all the 3 questions. They were like lead code easy, lead code medium, and lead code medium. All 3 questions were like that only. And there, I think one major point which I observed was you were not only judged on how many questions you solved, you were also like your holistic profile was judged, your resume, your GPA and everything. Then the rank list was made, and then you were selected. After that, we had one face-to-face round, which was like standard DSA face-to-face round. You had to write code on paper, and then I think all students should at some time practice writing code on paper, because you will be surprised how different it is writing code actually on paper. And that round was standard, like again lead code medium question was there, and we actually went into detail on the time complexity analysis of the interviewer asked me all and every question possible on how it can be improved and why not this, why not that, and all that. So again, it depends how much practice you have, then only you can answer those questions. After that, we had a small discussion on my projects. It was not in depth because the time was not left. And so it was like 45 to 50 minutes of interview, face-to-face interview, first round. And I think I was fairly confident I will clear it because I solved the question, and indeed I cleared that round. And in second round was also face-to-face interview, where the question was a bit harder. They were like graph, lead code, hard problem, and it was standard, but yeah, you need to solve that question on paper at that moment, and you need to be able to write code, clearly concise code, and you should not make that many typos. I mean, typo is 1 or 2 is fine, but should not be like you wrote a function and you are crossing the entire thing and again writing it again. So, and one surprising thing that happened in this interview was the interviewer had my resume open, and he went into like in depth into my resume. He even I had GitHub links of my projects that I had did, and he even opened the GitHub link. He went through the code. He asked me questions on why this, why that, how did you do this, and all in detail. And because I think a lot of students, what they do is they like put projects in their resume and they forget like they even did it, and they like saw some tutorial, some clone app, and something like that, and they just copy pasted the code. So I mean, in a face-to-face interview, you'll get caught one way or another, right? The interviewer is smart enough to see your bluff if you're doing it, and so I would say put less projects, but put quality projects that you know like in and out. And so there, I think from my explanation of how confidently I explained the code I wrote, he was very impressed that yes, even though it was a standard project, it was kind of a web crawler. And even though it was very standard, but I knew the ins and out of my project. So that is very important. And at this point of time, you are just an intern, you are in the third year of your college. They're not expecting you to develop any new innovation, right? They are just focusing on your basics. Do you know the basics? Do you know coding? And do you are you able to express yourself and are you able to explain what you have done? And that should be enough. You should not go for fancy system designs and all that. That's for the later part of your career. And I mean, I have heard like few internship interviews are like few companies are conducting system design interviews, and that also happened at here as well. Sorry, I forgot. Before the first face-to-face round, there was one group fly round. I don't know if it happens in today's age or not, where we are a total of I think 60-70 students. We all sat in one room, and they were given they gave us two questions, and the Microsoft engineers only, they were invigilating the room, and they gave us two questions. One was a very open-ended system design question, and one was standard DSA question. And we had to write our solutions on a paper. And the different thing here was they were not looking for just answers. Like the engineers were not looking for just answers because it was an easy question, anybody can answer. They were looking for us to communicate to them. They were sitting beside you if you want to discuss something, how you are approaching the problem. Because at the internship level, your system design skills are not that important, but how you're approaching the problem is more important, right? So they were judging on that, and then they kept the students' name in mind who they liked, and then they selected those students. It was not like you solved a question in 10 minutes, hey sir, I'm done. That was not the case. They wanted us to take the time to discuss with them, and they were also like counter questioning live. So I mean that was very unique, and I don't know if it happens today, but it should actually if it doesn't. So, and I think the last round was behavioral round, where I think a partner level engineer questioned us, and it was like simple standard like project based questions and some like standard question like what are your weaknesses. And so there I think also it was just your communication skills were judged, nothing fancy, and then we were offered the position. Yeah, so that was like the process. And then after that, I think if we want to go into the internship part, how the internship was conducted. And so there I think I was like, again, there are a few things I would like to tell students, like how they can like a better get a chance of getting the return offer is. I think everybody, when they are like going through an intern phase, nobody is expecting you to know everything. Ask as many questions as you can. As an intern, you have a free pass. You can ask anything. Like nobody will judge you. And so because the same question, if you ask once you are like a software engineer, people will definitely judge you, because if you don't know the basic stuff, then people naturally they will judge you, not on your face, but they will. So as an intern, that judgment is not there. You can ask anything and everything, and you should ask everything. And then also try to be in sync with your manager during your internship, because your summer internship will be only for 8 weeks. And during those 8 weeks, the 2 weeks will be your onboarding and offboarding, and you only have actually 6 weeks to show that you have what it takes, right? And those 6 weeks are very crucial. And on those 6 weeks, you should not be in a position that you are connecting with your manager once in like 2 weeks. Be in sync with your manager, be in sync with your mentor, ask questions. Like even if they're not asking your progress, show your progress, showcase what you are doing, and make them include in your discussions. And also, obviously, like the project is the main thing you will be judged on. But I think apart from that, how you are interacting with others, how your communication skills are there, how you're taking feedback, like are you being defensive or you are taking feedback as a good thing. Those kind of small things count a lot. And at the end, even if your project is not 100% finished, but you have as a holistic, you have shown them that you are a good software engineer, you'll get selected for sure. Because like they know that we can train an engineer in a year or in a few months, but if a person doesn't have that learning attitude, you cannot train that. So these kind of things are kept in mind. And yeah, lastly, I think I was fortunate enough that I showed those abilities and I got the return offer. So I think I spoke a lot. So maybe you have any.
So yeah,
I think one misconception there people have is that students ask a lot of times that I am not that good in English. Like, is that going to be a problem? So communication is not entirely English, and people will not judge you on your English. Let me like clear that, because even I was not that good at English in my college years, but it improves a lot as you go into the environment. Right? It comes automatically. Just that thought of English is keeping you like behind. That's what I will say. Other than that, don't worry about English and all. It's all about how you are expressing your thought.
Very true. Yeah. So next thing is, I would like to understand about your projects. A lot of people are fancied about what would have been happening in Microsoft projects and everything. So you mentioned you are working on Microsoft Teams. So what is your like core responsibility and core expertise area where you work on that projects?
Sure. So I think Microsoft Teams is a gigantic product. Like, we cannot go into in-depth detail of how it works and where I work, but I can give you a glimpse of like how. So basically, I am a backend engineer. How a backend engineer works, right? What it looks like. So basically, we own a service, right? We run the service, and as a backend engineer, it's our responsibility to maintain that service, develop new features, and keep it up to date and keep it like running at all times. And my expertise lies in .NET for now, and because I work in .NET if you don't know, for students, is a I would say framework which Microsoft own, and basically it's a like similar framework to Django, Flask, and all those Java, Spring Boot, and similar to that. Nothing fancy there. It's just a like framework to develop APIs and services. So my expertise is in that right now. I specialize in that, and on top of it, we have like recently there is a great push on Kubernetes and Dockerization. So Kubernetes is the main platform that we use at Microsoft. And apart from that, if I like think from a student's perspective, if somebody is trying to crack Microsoft, it's not mandatory that you know .NET, and it's not mandatory that you know Azure, like how Azure works and what services Azure has. But it's important that you know basics, like what is an API, right? How an API works, right? If you know what an API is, if you can develop an API in any framework, not only in .NET, that should be okay. If you know how, I mean, it's not important to us as Microsoft recruiters that you know C# only. It helps if you know, but if you know any other object-oriented programming language, that's also good enough. And we will judge you on your OOPS skills rather than on your C# skills. And we'll judge you on your fundamental, like, do you know multi-threading? Do you know how asynchronous programming works? And do you know, like, we'll not judge you even if you don't know Azure, if you have worked only on AWS. But if you have worked on AWS, do you know what is a load balancer? Like, so these kind of things. So I would say technology is, so what technology do you know it not important? The basics is important.
Great. Okay. So now I would like to understand from your personal perspective about mentorship. So like after all these experiences and yourself cracking into mentorship now, like Microsoft, now you are doing your own mentorship thing. You are helping out people and giving it back to the community. So as a person, why are you interested in mentorship, and why do you generally take out a valuable amount of your time for helping people?
Sure. So as I said earlier, like I came from a non-CS background, right? And trust me, like when I say I at that time, if I had a mentor, it would have been X amount easier for me, and that is for sure, because nobody had. I mean, obviously there is no set roadmap for anybody, but I think at that time, if I had a mentor, it would have been way easier for me. I should not have to like look into 10 different books and 10 different courses and then figure out on my own by wasting my time, like what was the best thing that could have worked for me. And I've struggled. I think I struggled a lot because obviously, like electronics was one of the major thing, like how to manage time, like that I had to learn on my own, like how, like what is important, and how to study in a week for exam. That also I learned on my own. Like I had to sit for examination, and 1 week before that I didn't even knew what the syllabus is, and I had to cover the whole syllabus in 1 week. So these kind of things, I think. A mentor can help a lot, and once, like even to this day, I have mentors in Microsoft and outside Microsoft who guide me in my career, and I think mentorship is a very important thing in anybody's life, and it and why I chose to be a mentor is because also like and because of my unique experience of coming from a non-CS background, I started like sharing this experience on LinkedIn. I started posting on LinkedIn, and I fortunately a lot of people resonated with that, and a lot of students started asking questions, and that we just discussed right now, like on my DMs. And so at this point, it's not possible for me to answer every question on LinkedIn, because like trust me, I get a lot of similar questions again and again, right? And also, so in that way, I started mentorship, like simple Google Meets. I started like way back when I was like I just started joining Microsoft. But at that time, some students did not show up, and all those things started happening. So in order to respect each other's time, I started using some platforms to like book sessions and just put a small amount so that we are respecting each other's time as well. So that was the main goal. And I think the money has never been the goal for me, because I know how a student is struggling, and I don't want to like hoard money from a student. That's not the perspective here. And even like when I was a student, I was also not in a position to pay anybody. So that is not the purpose here. And I think even like the major goal here is to get student placed. Right? I have interacted with so many students who have been, I would not say bullied, but they have been misguided, I would say. And they have lost a lot of time. And I have even interacted with students which have been to the state that students say that, sir, I only have 1 month left. What should I do? So you should not be in that state where you wasted your 4 years and now you have just 1 month left and you're saying, what should I do? Right? The earlier you start, the easier it will be for you. And as a mentor there, I cannot help you if you only have 1 day or 2 weeks. Right? And as a mentor, I can help you if you have, I mean, I can help in certain ways, but I will be lying to you if I say you can crack Microsoft in 1 month. It's a lie. And so there, I think long-term mentorship is a very important thing there, that we are engaging in a long-term relationship where I'll help you, I'll guide you, and we'll together try to figure out solution to your problems. And as a student, all I want from you is to give you 100%. And it can happen that even after 100%, you might not be able to crack X company, Y company. But that one thing is for sure, if you keep at it, you will definitely get a job. And that is the main goal here. The gratification that I'll get from, yes, it will be like placing my younger brother or sister, like, and I will try to guide you as an elder brother, like, yes, this is the way to go. And I think long-term mentorship is far better than just a message and all that.
Did check your profile. You are doing one session per week, tasks and follow-ups, regular chat,
Yeah.
and everything.
Yes.
Over a period of probably 3 months, 6 months. So let's assume mentee joins you under you, and like, how do you generally structure, or how do you generally go about
Mhm.
what you cover in sessions, or
Mhm.
what's the process, so that people who would watch this, they will understand that if they
Mhm.
become a mentee under you, what would be the general approach that would happen?
Sure, sure. I would say we'll firstly start from where you are right now as a student, right? Are you in first year? Are you in second year? And like, what your position is? Are you not even in a BTech course? Are you in a different course? So based on that, I think the roadmap changes. And so again, like if you are in first year, then we have ample time to build your skills. We can take a long-term approach. We can focus on your core fundamentals, and then we can move on to actual interviews and all. So let's say you are a first year student, right? And you opt in for a long-term mentorship. So first of all, I'll try to like paint a picture of how a placement happens, what's the entire journey is, right? Most of the students don't even know like how all the placements process works, right? And in that, we'll start from the CS fundamentals itself, right? Like what to focus on, what not to focus on, and where to practice and where not to practice. And then we can have mock interviews along the way, and we will definitely have regular check-ins where you can ask your doubts, and we can also try to figure out things together as well. And then I think we will move to like if you are interested in like competitive programming, I would recommend, if you are in a first year student, to at least try competitive programming like CodeChef and Code Courses. I'll try to nudge you there. And if you are not comfortable, that's totally okay. It's not like that's the only way to go. And then we'll move on to like actually structured, like how to do lead code, right? And how to like approach a problem. And then we'll basically move on to the problem solving. First, we'll solidify the fundamentals and the data structures and algorithms and all that. And then we'll move on to the actual problem solving, like how to develop problem solving skills and what problems to follow. And also, the one thing that I've seen in students is like they just jump into a problem set, like there's a list of problem and they just start solving without understanding that the problems that are asked in interviews, they are very pattern based. And the patterns, if you understand the patterns, the half of your job is done, right? But understanding those patterns takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of guidance to understand like what pattern is applied in this problem. That is from the interview perspective. Other than that, we will keep parallelly, we'll start exploring the development side of things as well, because as a software engineer, at the end of the day, you will develop some software, right? Apart from it, if you don't go into that, if you are not developing something, all is like kind of a waste, right? Why are you even trying to learn problem solving if you're not doing any, like if you're not solving any problem, right? So like there, how to start web development. I've extensively done web development in my college years. I also then I think a lot of people now want to do machine learning, right? Deep learning. How to like approach that, right? I've also like explored deep learning. Like for the first 2 years of my college, I was like deeply into deep learning, and I did a lot of stuff there. So how to go in that direction? How to like if somebody wants to do Android, like I touched some Android as well. So in my college years, like fortunately, I was able to touch on a lot of technologies, and that's where I would suggest like students as well, like to explore. And if you're in first year, like explore as much as possible, and then narrow it down your passion. Right? And passion changes as well. It's not like you need to stick to it. Like for first 2 years, I did deep learning, then I moved to web development. So it happens. So that's okay. And then I think at the end, at the end side of the, and also one more important thing is open source. A lot of students are very interested in open source, right? The GSOC program and all the other programs that have, they require a different set of roadmap, right? And if your passion lies there, like we will have a specifically an open source roadmap for you. And so, as I said, like it changes by person to person, but I think coming from an experienced background, I have that visibility to guide you in all these directions. And lastly, I think when it comes to the interview part, and definitely I will help you preparing for interviews. I will take your mock interviews once you think you are prepared, and we will take face-to-face interviews as well. I have friends who work in various companies who are willing to offer their hand as well as an interviewee. So I will link up you with them as well. And finally, I think there is a big last question is that once I feel that you are at that level, I will not hesitate to put you up for a referral. And I will also share your profile with my network where when I feel like, yeah, you have what it takes, that you can crack interviews, then I can help you get some referral as well, where you will so because a referral helps a lot. And I know that by first hand, and it helps you clear that initial initial hump of getting your profile selected. So, I mean, this is very a crude picture of how we'll go about a long-term mentorship. But as I said, one thing is for sure that once you once you get into a mentorship with me, I'll be with you throughout the process, and we'll get you the placement that you want. And but all I want from you, from student side, is commitment and the 100% and going above 100%. Then only we both will be successful.
Great. Listening to all of this as to how structured you are and how you are defining different pathways and roadmaps and how you can help in each of them. I am sure anybody who is going to become a mentee with you is going to get great success in what they want to achieve. You are only taking 10 mentees in a month. So but still, whoever wants to join in, there are only 10 slots per month on a monthly basis that Jovan provides. You can directly visit his profile and get the benefit of all his wide range of expertise and experience in the industry. So, yeah, great to hear that. Finally, Joban, to conclude, if you had to give one piece of advice as a summary advice to all the people who will watch this video and who probably are struggling in their preparation or something like that, what would you say from your experience?
Sure. I mean, it's difficult to narrow it down to one point, but I would say keeping in mind all the points that I already said, right? They have their own significance. But one point that I would like to touch upon is that peer programming, right? When you are in college, have a group of friends, even one friend is enough, with which you can actually discuss your issues. You can actually be support for each other, because that will be helpful throughout your journey. It will you buy one course, you completed one course, you are struggling with your with how you problem solving and all that, and number of things will be there. But if you have someone to share with those problems and who is going through the similar problems, you have a hand so that you can rely on it. So that is very underrated. Nobody tells you that. Everybody will say, buy this course, buy that course, do this, do that. One thing that will remain with you is that once you have a friend, a peer that you can discuss your problems with, for example, from a personal experience, I had a friend who is a very dear friend of me, and we used to, in my college summer vacations, even when we were further states apart, he was at his home, I was at my home, we used to hop on calls and discuss interview questions, and we was used to solve each other's doubts and learn from each other. It helps a lot. Even we were not at the same place, but that 1 month of summer vacations where we did, I think we did 500 questions we did together, and those 500 questions helped a lot in both of us in cracking the Microsoft interview. Like Microsoft was the first company to visit our campus, and both of us were selected in that company, and that was like a very happy moment for both of us. And so that part of 1 month where we had each other's back, we were solving each other's problems. That was, I would say, even more. That 1 month I cherish the most, and because we learned from each other, and that 1 month was hard as well. But I would say that hard month was the best month during the whole preparation journey. The summer vacation where we like sat down on the laptop and did questions all day, and so it's not an advice, but it's a a tip or whatever you want to say, like a life lesson or whatever. Like have a good friend group.
So thanks again for taking out all the time and sharing deep insights into about your career journey as well as how someone should prepare. So thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks again for inviting me. It was a great discussion, and hopefully I was able to help some students. And again, like if you feel like I can help you as a student, please do check out my mentor page, and I'll be there for your help. Thank you.